This topic, most IT leaders and business analysts tend to view as a problem, but it's actually a massive untapped opportunity. We're talking about shadow IT, those unofficial apps, spreadsheets, and tools your colleagues are using under the radar. Is it a risk? Sure. But for a switched on BA, it's also a treasure map to pain points, workarounds, and innovations happening in your organization right now.
The Better Business Analysis Institute
presents the Better Business Analysis podcast with
Benjamin Walsh.
Welcome back to the Better Business Analysis podcast with your host, Benjamin Walsh. And before we dive into shadow IT, I wanted to let my dedicated listeners know that at the Better Business Analysis Institute, we are changing things up. To be straight up, I need a pivot. We are not getting people signing up for a certified business analysis course if we don't do it in person. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all that great content. There's so much content on there, and we're going to reorganize it into a BA monthly membership. And what I would like you to do is there's a question on this Spotify version of this podcast, and I want to know whether or not you're interested in that or not. It's no obligation. It just tells us whether or not you'll be interested in a paid subscription. That would give you access to all our training, videos, coaching, chat, and a whole lot of other member-only content. If that's something you're interested in, then please just let me know. Right, onto our topic today. We are talking about shadow IT. We are moving beyond the usual risk warnings and diving into how we can use shadow IT to drive smarter change, discover real needs, and even turn grassroots hacks into business value, which I've seen a number of times of late. So if you think of vibe coding at the moment, think of some of the automation tools, you think of some of the smaller apps that say HR just loads up or marketing loads up like HubSpot. The reality is this is what's happened in response to a very, I guess, either one, IT, which is driving its own roadmap of business need, which happens a lot, or just it's really hard to get things done, or limited budget and OPEX IT spend, which is decentralized. So we're going to drop into 10 top tips for dealing with shadow IT as a BA. And the first point is, what is shadow IT really? It's any tech, apps, databases, spreadsheets. We used to say spreadsheets in a bad way, like spreadsheets and access databases. It includes workflows that people use without official IT approval. An example is a sales team build their own CRM in Airtable because the official system is too slow, it's been customized too much. Don't start with fear. Shadow IT exists because people want to get work done. They've got jobs to be done. And so they go and find a solution to solve that problem. Now, shadow IT isn't always intentional rule breaking. Often it's just people trying to get the work done faster. It's not limited to IT heavy organizations. Every workplace has some version of this, from shared Google Docs to WhatsApp groups. And I guess what you need to think about is what shadow tools are people quietly using in your business. Shadow IT is a signal. It's not just a symptom. And we'll get onto that in a minute. Number 2 is why shadow IT happens and why that's a clue. Shadow IT thrives where organizations and official tools are slow, unresponsive, or simply miss the mark. People take shortcuts when the system, quote unquote, isn't user-friendly or doesn't address a key pain point. I can't do all my things, or I want an appified version of the world. And what I mean by that is a lot of people like to complete a number of set tasks in one application. And that was developed into the concept of an app, which you now have on your phones. And in the desktop version of the world, we have apps now, but we used to just have executables that did one distinct feature or function. And now people wanted these kind of apps. And these enterprise tools have had to create sub apps to run on your phone so you can use them, like they're called web apps, or, just native apps that run on your phone. And they are a little bit of the whole system. And people like that experience. There's an example where a team might be using their personal Slack group to collaborate because the company's messaging system is locked down and cumbersome. So a lot of people are worried about Microsoft Teams monitoring their chats. So they use WhatsApp, or they use a Slack channel, and then they can moan about their manager. Happens everywhere. When you find shadow IT, ask what problem are they actually solving that's not being addressed? Okay, what is this trying to solve? Is it like a unofficial office chatter? Maybe that can be done within the application, but it's totally locked down and people know that that information is not going to be reviewed. Sometimes it highlights a disconnect between policy and reality. IT thinks the tool is fit for purpose, user disagrees. Shadow IT often appears first in high pressure areas where delays cost money or reputation, and they just can't wait a year to get approval. Now, we'll get to some of the points around the fact that this is not always a good thing, and that, just because someone wants something, it doesn't mean that they should be allowed to have it. But IT isn't the gatekeeper. The tip is to use shadow IT as your early warning system and look for the root cause using the 5 whys. Number 3, the risks. But don't stop there. The standard narrative is risk. Okay, data links, non-compliance, lack of support. But stopping at risk means missing the value and intent behind shadow IT. So simply IT usually takes, and I've been involved, we're just getting rid of any Access database. It's just not secure. We're going to stop allowing you to send files over email or Excel files. Common one. An example might be sensitive client data is shared on an unapproved Google Drive. No version control, no audit trail, happens often. Shadow IT can also lead to duplicate effort, data silos, and breakdowns in reporting. That's a big one. When you think about data being saved in an Excel spreadsheet, which happens all over the world and every organization, you've probably got one on your computer right now that's not saved to a shared drive. That isn't connected to the enterprise reporting tool, which means you've got some key data in there and you can't report on it. This is a problem for data and analytics. But if you just decide to clamp down on shadow IT, users will just find sneakier workarounds that you don't know about. Or worse, they'll put it on their personal computers. Mitigating risk is essential, but understanding why the risk emerged is just as important. Always follow up a risk conversation with a needs conversation. So we noticed you did this, and you really got to stop doing that. But let's send the BA in and let's have a conversation about what you really need and how we can do it without putting our client data at risk. Number 4, shadow IT as a source of innovation. Okay, this is the good bits. Many shadow tools are actually clever hacks or genuine process innovations, essentially grassroots R&D. A customer support team could use Zapier or Make.com to automate ticket allocation, making response times 30% faster. That's awesome, but Zapier is not an approved app. Shadow IT often emerge from power users or natural entrepreneurs inside the organization that sometimes become BAs. It can be a low-cost way to trial new approaches before a big IT spend. So we just tried it. When you say, oh, we just did a proof of concept in the business IT, you see them melt like a witch who's had water thrown at them. But these grassroots innovations sometimes become the blueprint for official systems if you're paying attention. You need to give credit where it's due. Surface and celebrate smart solutions, even if it's unofficial. Or even better, my top tip here would be to have a log of these systems that are unofficial, a little monitoring, do it safely, set it up, and allow people to try these apps, right? For a certain amount of time. But then there's a business decision that needs to come into force at a certain point, and they need to know that they need to get their data out. But that's the same with any enterprise system. Number 5, shadow IT exposes hidden pain points. Every shadow tool is an X-ray of some underlying issues, usually a broken process or a feature gap. So then you might have the field's sales staff, the sales team that's out in the field, using WhatsApp to coordinate visits because the CRM doesn't work offline. That's a real common one. I've done a lot of Dynamics 365 customization in the customer space. And, it happens. You have to build a Power App and then it doesn't always sync. It's got better in the last couple of years, but, that's a real problem. Shadow IT is often the first signs of a broken journey in a process, the bits of the process that don't really work in reality. For BAs, these are gold mines. Every unofficial spreadsheet or workaround is a here's where we're failing flag. And to be honest, they can be quick wins that you can turn into value, which is what your game is. Shadow IT also exposes communication gaps between business and IT. So that's a really good one. That's when you go, well, that's really where the BAs play. We can get in early. The tip is when you discover a shadow tool, treat it as a user story in disguise. So what is the need? Turn it into maybe an epic, right? And you figure out the features that they enjoy and what their actual user stories are, their requirements are through elicitation. Number 6, surfacing and mapping shadow IT. You can't address what you can't see. Instead of just punishing users, proactively seek out and map shadow IT tools and build a picture of real business needs. An example might be a BA running an anonymous survey, which is a really good way of doing this. What tools do you use to get the job done? What's not working about the official ones? Do that, and then you'll get a little bit of an audit, and then maybe you can have a follow-up. Do you mind us following up? You're not going to be in trouble. Mapping shadow IT can be an eye-opener. It can reveal dozens of hidden workflows or thousands, and spreadsheets are one. Use interviews, focus groups, or a simple show and tell session to say, we understand this is an issue. I'm not IT. I work for you. I'm a business analyst, and I want to help work with you because this is limiting your ability to report on your data. Keep it non-judgmental. The aim is understanding, not enforcement. Okay, so don't be an agent for IT security. Number 7 is building trust, not fear, around shadow IT. If people fear repercussions, they'll hide what they're doing. That's true in life. And a valuable insight is lost. But build trust so people will share openly with you, okay? An organization where staff know that they can suggest workarounds without taking, or getting into trouble or getting, telling off, leads to rapid discovery. And that leads to better ways of working. Encourage leaders to reward transparency, not punish creativity, because that's what you need in an organization. Publicly recognize teams who flag process issues, even if they're bending the rules, right? So we've solved it this way. This is an actual problem. Obviously, there is a conversation about trying to align people, and that needs to be done in the right way. You might also find that there's some politics between teams here. A tip might be to create forums for open dialogue. What unofficial solutions are helping you work better? You could just have that on the internet. Now, the opportunity here is that you can, number 8 is turning those shadow solutions into real business prototypes. Prototypes with a capital P. BAs can turn shadow apps and spreadsheets into blueprints for scalable, secure solutions. Finance builds a forecasting model in Excel. Instead of shutting it down, the BA uses that as the foundation for a new Power BI dashboard with proper controls and access to centralized data. Analyze what makes the shadow tool useful. It's usually something about speed or simplicity or flexibility. Collaborate with the users to spec what a fully supported secure version would look like, called on the SME or a business expert or a business owner of that problem. The trick is to co-create with the original shadow user to ensure the new solution truly meets need, and you might find that they're great as a potential candidate as a junior BA in the future, even though they've come from a solution background. Number 9 is when to escalate, when to formalize, and when to kill. Not every shadow tool should become official. Some are risky, others are genius. Some should be retired. BAs must help IT and business triage them. If you've got an unencrypted personal Dropbox account with client data, you need to shut it down and replace it. You've got some clever macros that save hours, but it's blocked because it's a security threat because Microsoft says it is or your IT support says it is. Move it to IT support and scale it. Create simple risk-benefit frameworks for triage. Don't force everything into IT's lap. Some tools are best left local, but with clear guidelines. So marketing might drive your CRM or your marketing tool. Know when to escalate. If there's a regulatory risk, move quickly and communicate openly and explain why. Treat shadow IT like a product backlog. Review, prioritize, and decide. And number 10, the rise of the citizen developer. This is where shadow IT goes legit. We now have low-code, no-code platforms like Zapier, N8N, I use Frap, there's Airtable. These platforms are shifting the conversation from shadow IT is bad to let's enable safe, rapid, business-led innovation. And that's something that BAs need to get their head around. An insurance company rolling out a Power Platform app, right, to build compliant apps that citizen developers are working with BA oversight. That's a good example. You don't have all the time to do that. And to be honest, you're on the analysis side. This isn't just a trend, it's a new reality. Gartner predicts that 70% of new business apps will be built outside of IT by 2025. BAs are perfectly placed to bridge the gap, ensuring governance without stifling innovation. The new BA's skill set is coaching, guiding, and supporting safe citizen development. Advocate for enabling frameworks, not lockdowns. Help the business build the right things the right way. Shadow IT isn't a compliance headache. It's a window into how your organization actually works and what your people truly need. If you treat it as the enemy, you'll spend your time firefighting and your users will go underground and not like you. If you treat it as a discovery tool, a set of living prototypes, pain point signals, and innovation incubators, you'll be a better, more responsive business analyst and a true partner to the business. So the next time you stumble on the rogue spreadsheet or unofficial app, don't rush to shut it down. Listen, learn, and lead the way to smarter solutions. Thanks for joining me on the Better Business Analysis podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe on Spotify and connect with me, Benjamin Walsh, on LinkedIn.